Welcome back to another explainer. Today we're diving straight into the absolute foundation of complex life. Think about it for a second. How do tiny microscopic cells actually team up to build something as massive as a giant tree or as unbelievably complex as a human being? The secret is all in the biological workforce. We are talking about tissues.
Okay, let's lay out the roadmap for our journey today. First, what exactly is a tissue? Then, we'll look at plants versus animals, explore the magic of growth, and dive into permanent tissues. After that, we'll cover plant protectors, and finally, animal tissue. So, Section 1. What is a tissue? Cellular teamwork.
Let's start with a big question. Why don't cells just work alone? Well, I want you to imagine living in a massive city where you have to do literally every single job all by yourself. You're the mayor, the garbage collector, the chef, the doctor, the construction worker, the whole shebang. It would be impossible, right? You wouldn't survive a single day. Well, cells feel the exact same way. If a single cell tried to digest food, pump blood, and carry messages all at once, the organism simply wouldn't make it. They desperately need teamwork.
And that brilliant teamwork brings us right to our definition. A tissue is a group of cells, similar in structure, that work together to perform a very specific function. The absolutely crucial concept here is the division of labor. By splitting up the tasks, some cells handle movement while others handle sending messages, the body becomes incredibly efficient. It saves energy, and honestly, it just gets the job done so much faster and better. Now that we've got the microscopic view sorted, let's zoom out of it. Section 2. Plant versus animal, a tale of two kingdoms.
What's really fascinating here is the sheer contrast in how they live. Plants are completely stationary. They're fixed in one spot. Because they aren't running around, they use way less energy, and their main priority is just standing up straight against gravity. Because of that, their tissues are mostly made of dead, rigid, supportive cells. Animals, on the other hand, we are constantly hustling. We're moving, hunting, flexing, which demands high energy and highly flexible living cells. Plus, plant growth is very localized. They only really grow at specific tips, while animals experience uniform growth all over their bodies.
Since those lifestyles are so fundamentally different, let's focus entirely on the plant side of things for a minute. Section 3. The magic of growth through continuous division.
In plants, it all comes down to what we can playfully call the private job cells. These are the meristematic tissues. Think of these cells like someone constantly hustling in the private sector. They are rapidly, continuously dividing. They are working so incredibly hard and moving so fast that they don't even have time to build up savings. In biology terms, this means they actually lack vacuoles. Those are the storage units of the cell. Because, frankly, they have nothing to store yet. They are pure, unadulterated growth engines. Let's break down these cellular hustlers into 3 specific types, based on where they actually work. First up, apical meristems. These sit right at the very top tips of the shoots and the bottom tips of the roots, constantly pushing outward to increase the plant's length. Then we have intercalary meristems, tucked inside at the nodes. Imagine a cow comes along and munches off the top of the grass. These intercalary tissues are the ones that immediately step up and help the grass regrow. And finally, lateral meristems. These guys handle the girth, literally increasing the thickness or the motapa of the plant.
But hey, a cell really can't hustle at that crazy pace forever, right? Eventually, those rapidly dividing meristematic cells have to settle down. Section 4. Permanent tissue.
Let's look at how they transition into something permanent. It happens in steps. First, the cells are dividing continuously. But over time, some of them actually lose that ability to divide. They take on a permanent shape, a specific size, and a highly fixed function. This whole fascinating, step-by-step process of finally landing a specialized role is what we call differentiation.
And once a cell goes through differentiation, it officially becomes permanent tissue. If meristematic tissue was that chaotic private sector hustle, permanent tissue is absolutely the government job. These cells are incredibly stable. They've got fixed, permanent roles, and since they aren't stressing about dividing all the time anymore, they finally built up massive bank accounts. Biologically speaking, they now have very large storage vacuoles to keep food and nutrients safely tucked away.
Now, there are 3 main types of simple permanent tissues. First up is parenchyma. The absolute best way to remember this: parenchyma sounds a lot like parents. And what do parents do? They nurture you, they pack your lunch, and they keep things safe. Parenchyma tissues act exactly like that. They are the primary packaging and storage tissue for the plant, holding on to all that vital food and water.
Next, we've got collenchyma. Think of this one like the collar of a dress shirt. A collar has a bit of stiffness, sure, but fundamentally, it's flexible. Collenchyma provides that exact kind of essential flexibility to the plant. It's the reason young branches, or climbing vines, can bend wildly in a heavy windstorm without snapping right in half. It gives them support, but with plenty of give.
Rounding out the simple tissues is sclerenchyma. Just remember S for sclerenchyma, S for solid. These are incredibly hard, completely dead cells that provide unmatched rigidity and protection. If you've ever battled trying to peel the tough, fibrous outer husk off a coconut, you have fought directly with sclerenchyma tissue. It's basically nature's ultimate hard outer shell.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when we move from simple permanent tissues up to complex ones. Plants have an unbelievable internal plumbing system made of two complex tissues, xylem and phloem. Xylem acts just like a one-way elevator, strictly pulling water and minerals upward from the roots, mostly using strong dead cells to act as the actual pipes. Phloem, on the flip side, is the plant's food delivery service. It takes the food synthesized in the leaves and transports it bidirectionally, meaning both up and down, using mostly living cells to make sure every part of the plant gets fed.
So, we've covered growth, storage, and transport. But plants are stuck outside in the harsh elements all day, every day. Section 5, Plant Protectors, Nature's Armor.
The very first line of defense is the epidermis. You can think of this as the plant's skin. It's an outer layer of living cells, and it's often coated with a slick, waxy cuticle to prevent the plant from just drying out in the hot sun. But it's not completely sealed shut. It contains tiny little pores called stomata. These pores are absolute lifesavers because they let the plant breathe in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. They also manage transpiration, which is basically allowing excess water to sweat out, cooling the plant right down.
But as a tree grows older and thicker, that delicate little epidermis just won't cut it, so it's replaced by something much tougher: cork. Cork is that rough, dead outer bark you see on huge, mature trees. And what makes it so incredibly effective is a special chemical packed into those cells called suberin. Suberin acts like a heavy-duty natural waterproofing agent, making the bark entirely impervious to water and gases. It basically locks the tree down like a fortress.
We've spent quite a bit of time on the quiet, stationary life of plants. Now, let's do a quick pivot to us. Section 6, Animal Tissue, Built for Action.
Because animals are highly mobile, high-energy creatures, our tissues have to be perfectly tailored for constant action. We have 4 main types. Epithelial tissue acts as your covering and protection. Think of your skin and the lining of your internal organs. Muscular tissue is what actually allows you to move, flex, and pump blood through your veins. Connective tissue binds it all together, literally supporting your skeletal framework. And finally, nervous tissue is your body's high-speed internet, firing messaging signals from your brain to the rest of your body in fractions of a second. So here's the big takeaway. Whether you're a towering oak tree relying on rock-solid dead sclerenchyma or a human being relying on lightning-fast nervous tissues, you are an absolute marvel of cellular division of labor. Which leaves us with this final thought for today. Knowing that you have these 4 incredibly distinct tissues working inside you right this second, how exactly do they collaborate and overlap so flawlessly to make you function, breathe, and even think every single day? It's a fascinating puzzle, and it's exactly what we're going to unpack next time. Keep questioning things, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.